In the heart of Yoruba land, there was a small, lively village called Ijebu Ilaro. People in the village loved to talk about everything. You know how it is. Every little thing becomes big news, and everyone has an opinion. One sunny morning, the village market was buzzing with excitement. But this time, the buzz wasn't about the yam harvest or who caught the biggest fish in the river. No, this time, it was about three very special women. The three fattest women anyone in Ijebu Ilaro had ever seen. As the women walked through the market square, heads turned, mouths opened, and whispers spread like wildfire. "Ah, have you seen Ronki today?" One woman asked her friend. "I heard she ate 2 plates of amala and a whole pot of soup before breakfast." Another man laughed and said, "Iya Bissi is even bigger. They say she can't find clothes for her size anywhere in town." People pointed fingers, giggled, and made jokes, but these three women. They walked with their heads held high, completely unbothered by the noise. The village children followed them around, amazed by their size and confident walk. One cheeky boy shouted, "Look at Adunni when she walks, the ground shakes like there's a small earthquake." The women were known everywhere. Ronki, the single lady with a laugh louder than a gong, Iya Bissi, the hard-working widow with 4 children, strong like a lioness, and Adunni, the church mama who led the choir with the most powerful voice you could hear from miles away. Even though many people complained about their size, there was something about these three that made everyone smile. They had charm, courage, and most importantly, a love for good food that nobody could stop. So now that everyone in the village was talking, it was time to properly introduce the stars of our story, the three fattest, funniest, and most lovable Yoruba women, Ronki, Iya Bissi, and Adunni. First, there was Ronki. She was single and proud of it. Ronki loved her amala and ewedu soup like a mother loves her child. If you asked her what her favorite thing in the world was, she'd say, "My food and my freedom." Ronki was always the first to laugh at a joke and the last to leave any party. Her laughter was so loud, it could wake up a sleeping baby in the next village. Next, we have Iya Bissi. She was a widow but very strong. With 4 children to raise, she carried sacks of yam and bags of groceries like they weighed nothing. Her size was not just from eating, it was from hard work, too. People respected her because she never complained, no matter how tough life got. When Iya Bissi smiled, you could tell she had a secret power, and that power was confidence. And finally, Adunni. She was the church mama everybody knew. When Adunni entered the church, people would stop whatever they were doing just to listen to her sing. Her voice was like honey mixed with thunder, sweet but powerful. She loved to dance too, and when she did, the church floor would sometimes shake a little, making everyone smile. These three women were not only big in size but also big in spirit. They knew the village was always watching and talking, but they didn't care. They had their own lives to live and food to eat. "What's our secret?" Ronki once said with a wink. "Energy food, my dear. Amala, fufu, pounded yam, efo riro, and plenty Milo with milk. That's the fuel for this big engine." The women laughed, teasing the skinny girls in the village, saying, "You want to be like us? Start eating, no be only exercise." Of course, they were just joking, but the truth was, these women loved their food, and the food loved them back. The village had never seen anyone so happy with their size. Now, you might be wondering, how did these three lovely ladies become the talk of the village for their size? Well, they have a secret, but it is no magic potion or expensive medicine. It's something every Yoruba person knows and loves: energy food. One afternoon, the three women sat under a big iroko tree, sharing a meal of amala, ewedu, and plenty of stew. Ronki looked at her friends and said, "My sisters, the secret is simple. If you want to be big and strong like us, you must eat food that gives you power. Not just small snacks or salad." Iya Bissi laughed and added, "You want to see me carry this big sack of yam on my head? It is because I eat amala every day, with plenty of meat and fish. And don't forget Milo, that magic drink. I drink it every morning with extra peak milk. That's the real energy." Adunni nodded. "Ah, and you know the church choir needs power too. When I sing and dance, it is because I eat well. I don't believe those skinny girls who say eating amala will make you lazy. Nah lie, their secret menu was simple but heavy. Amala with ewedu and bajiri soup, a Yoruba favorite. Pounded yam and egusi soup, rich and filling. Fufu with okra soup smooth and delicious. Lots of meat, fish, and spicy stew. Milo mixed with peak milk the energy booster. They called it energy food because it gave them the strength to do anything cooking, dancing, carrying heavy loads, and even laughing loud enough to wake the whole village. One day, a curious young girl asked, "But won't all that food make you tired?" Ronki smiled and said, "My dear, the more you eat the right food, the more energy you get. Fat no be problem, laziness be problem." The three women laughed so hard that nearby children joined in. It was clear. They loved food, loved life, and loved themselves exactly the way they were. Now, as you can imagine, not everyone in Ijebu Ilaro was happy about the fame of the three fattest women. Especially the men. Those men at the beer parlor, they had plenty to say. One evening, a group of skinny, lean men sat around a table, drinking palm wine and grumbling loudly. "These women are too fat," said one, slapping his thigh. "Who will marry such women? How can a man carry such weight?" Another man, shaking his head, said, "I saw Ronki last week. I hugged her, and I almost broke my back. My spine is still asking questions." A third man jumped in, "Aya Bissi is so big, I heard she can't even fit through some doors. How can a man take a wife who needs her own doorway?" The men laughed, but there was real frustration behind their words. They complained about the size, the weight, and how hard it would be to live with such big wives. Meanwhile, the women didn't hear these words directly. But everyone in the village knew the men's complaints were loud enough to wake the ancestors. At the beer parlor, one old man finally said, "Men, maybe we should try to understand them. Maybe they are happy being themselves." But the young men just shook their heads. "No way. Fat women can't be good wives," they said. Little did they know, the three women were not just fat, they were full of strength, wit, and stories that could make the men regret their words. The men's complaints became a regular topic of laughter and teasing, especially when the women decided to respond. When the three fattest women finally heard about the men's complaints, they didn't get angry, no, they laughed. And how they laughed. Because in Yoruba culture, the best way to handle complaints is with good humor and a little teasing. One sunny afternoon, Ronki gathered Aya Bissi and Aduni at her compound. "I hear the men are saying we're too big," she said, shaking her head with a big smile. "Let's teach them a lesson, but with laughter." Aya Bissi chuckled, "Yes, oh. We go show them say size no be problem." Aduni nodded and said, "When they finish talking, we go start to eat energy food in front of them. Let them see power." That same evening, the village held its monthly Awam party, a big celebration with music, dancing, and food. The three women arrived, each wearing bright, beautiful traditional clothes that made them look like queens. The men noticed them right away and started whispering, "Here come the three giants." But as the music started, something amazing happened. Ronki began to dance with such energy that the whole ground seemed to shake. Aya Bissi showed off her strength by lifting a heavy calabash filled with palm wine and drinking it in one gulp. Aduni led the choir with her booming voice that made everyone stop and listen. The men looked stunned. One whispered, "They are not just big, they are strong and lively too." Then, Ronki winked and shouted, "You men are always complaining, but who carries the food? Who cooks the delicious meals? Who brings the laughter and joy? Nawi." The whole village erupted in laughter and applause. The women had won the night not by fighting, but by showing their strength and humor. From that day, the men started to think twice before complaining again. The three fattest women of Ijebu Ilaro had become legends not just for their size, but for their big hearts and bigger laughs. A few days after the big party, the men of Ijebu Ilaro were still talking, but this time, they were thinking. Some of them had an idea to prove a point. One brave young man, Tunda, stood up in the market square and said, "Let's challenge Ronki, Aya Bissi, and Aduni. We will show them that we have more energy than they do." The men agreed, and soon a challenge was announced. A day of food, strength, and dance. Whoever lasted longest would be the winner. The whole village was excited. The three women smiled, knowing this was going to be fun. On the day of the challenge, the village square was packed. There were tables full of amala, pounded yam, fufu, meat, fish, and bowls of Milo with milk, the famous energy food. The men started the challenge by eating small amounts and then trying to dance. But soon, they became tired and had to sit down. Meanwhile, Ronki, Aya Bissi, and Adani kept eating heartily, then danced with power and laughter. The crowd cheered loudly. At the end of the day, the men were exhausted and sweating, while the women were still full of energy and ready for more. Tunda admitted, "Ah, these women have the secret. It is the energy food." From that day, some of the men started to join the women in eating amala and Milo. The village was happier, and the gossip turned into fun stories about the energy food challenge. After the energy food challenge, something interesting happened in Ijebu Ilaro. The young, skinny girls of the village started getting curious. One day, a group of them walked over to Ronki's house. "Ronki, we want to try your secret energy food," they said shyly. Ronki smiled widely and said, "Ah, welcome. Come, eat plenty amala and stew. If you want to have strength, you must eat well." The girls sat down with big plates of amala, pounded yam, and plenty of meat. Some were nervous because they had always believed eating too much would make them lazy or big. But as they ate, they began to feel warm and full of energy. One girl laughed, "I can feel the power already. I think I can dance all night." The next day, the skinny girls showed up at the village dance with new energy. They laughed louder, danced harder, and even challenged the men to keep up. The women looked at each other and said, "See, the power of energy food is working." The village was buzzing with excitement. Even the men started to look a little worried, were the women going to become even more powerful? After seeing the skinny girls eating energy food and dancing like never before, the men of Ijebu Ilaro had a change of heart. At the next village meeting, Tunda stood up and said, "I must admit, I was wrong before. The three big women and even the young girls eating energy food have more strength and joy than me and my friends." The men nodded in agreement. Some even joked, "Maybe we should all start eating amala and Milo every day." Ronki, Ayabisi, and Adani heard the news and laughed. Finally, the men have learned that size and strength come from good food and a happy heart. From that day, the men stopped complaining about the size of women and started respecting their strength, their laughter, and their energy. The village was happier, and even the elders smiled, saying, "Ijebu Ilaro has found the true meaning of power not in size, but in heart and food." As months passed, the story of the three fattest women and their love for energy food spread beyond Ijebu Ilaro. Neighboring villages started to talk, some even came to see these famous ladies. Ronki, Ayabisi, and Adani became legends not just for their size, but for their joy, strength, and confidence. People admired how they embraced themselves and didn't care about gossip. At festivals, they were invited as special guests to share their story and their secret food. The women would laugh and say, "If you want power, eat well, love yourself, and don't mind what people say." Children looked up to them, and young women saw them as role models, strong, happy, and full of life. The men who once complained now told funny stories about how they almost broke their backs hugging the women, and how the energy food challenge changed everything. Ijebu Ilaro became known as the village of laughter, strength, and amala power. To celebrate the power of energy food and the joy of being themselves, the villagers decided to create a special event, the Great Amala Festival. Every year, people from all around would come to Ijebu Ilaro to enjoy amala, dance, and laugh with Ronki, Ayabisi, and Adani. The festival became famous for its big, colorful dresses, loud music, and, of course, delicious food. During the first festival, Ronki stood on stage and said, "Welcome everyone. Here in Ijebu Ilaro, we celebrate who we are, big or small, skinny or fat. What matters is happiness, strength, and love." Ayabisi added, "And remember, energy food is for everyone. Eat well, live well." Adani laughed, "Don't let anyone tell you what to be. Be proud, be joyful, and never stop eating amala." The crowd cheered, danced, and ate until their bellies were full and their hearts were happy. From then on, the Great Amala Festival was not just about food, it was about celebrating life with laughter, love, and a little bit of amala power. By the time the Great Amala Festival became a yearly event, the men of Ijebu Ilaro had changed their tune completely. No more complaints about the three big women, instead, they joined in the fun. During one festival, Tunda, the same young man who once challenged the women, stood up and said, "I used to complain about the size of Ronki, Ayabisi, and Adani. But now, I see their strength and joy. Today, I am proud to be part of this celebration." The men laughed, danced, and even tried to keep up with the energetic moves of the three women. Some of them even wore traditional beads and colorful wrappers, trying their best to look as lively as the queens of the festival. Ronki teased, "See the men trying to dance. They might not have our size, but they have spirit." Ayabisi added with a smile, "And the best thing is, everyone is happy. No more complaints, just laughter and amala." The festival ended with everyone feeling united, men, women, skinny, fat, all celebrating life and energy food together. At night, after the festival celebrations, the children of Ijebu Ilaro would gather around the fire to hear stories about the three fattest women. Their grandmothers would say, "Listen well, children. Ronki, Ayabisi, and Aduni are not just big because they eat amala. They are strong because they love themselves and bring happiness to everyone." The kids would giggle and ask, "Grandma, can we eat amala and become strong like them?" The grandmothers smiled and said, "Yes, eat your food with joy, love yourself, and you will grow strong in spirit." Sometimes, the children would try to dance like Ronki, stomping their feet and laughing loudly. The whole village would echo with their happy sounds. The story of the three women became a symbol of pride and laughter, teaching the next generation that true power comes from confidence and kindness, not from size or shape. One day, a curious young woman asked Ronki, "Please, can you share your secret amala recipe? We want to make amala as delicious as yours." Ronki laughed and said, "The secret is simple: love, patience, and a little bit of magic." Ayabisi nodded, "And don't forget the energy food amala with fresh stew, plenty of meat, and a little pepper for spice." Aduni added with a grin, "The best part is to eat it with friends and family, sharing laughter and stories." The young woman thanked them and tried the recipe at home. Soon, her amala was the talk of the village. The three women smiled, knowing that sharing their love for food was the true magic behind their strength. As more people in Ijebu Ilaro started eating the energy food regularly, amala, pounded yam, and rich stews, the village began to change. People felt stronger, happier, and more active. The elders said, "We have not seen this much joy and health in many years." Even the children were playing outside more, running and laughing like never before. The local doctor, who once worried about too much eating, was surprised. He said, "This is not just food, it is medicine for the soul." Ronki, Ayabisi, and Aduni became known not just as the fattest women, but as the health queens of the village. Men and women started to respect the power of good food, and gossip turned into friendly advice. Ijebu Ilaro was becoming a village where laughter, love, and amala ruled. To celebrate the new strength in the village, Ronki, Ayabisi, and Aduni created a special dance, the energy food dance. It was a joyful, lively dance that everyone could join. The moves were simple but powerful: stomping feet, swinging arms, and lots of laughter. At every festival and gathering, the dance became the favorite moment. People said it made them feel strong and happy inside. One day, a visitor asked, "Why do you dance like that?" Ronki smiled and replied, "Because when you love yourself and eat well, your body and spirit want to dance." Even the shyest villagers tried the dance, and soon the whole village was moving together, laughing and sharing joy. The energy food dance became a symbol of confidence, love, and the happiness that comes from being yourself. One sunny morning, a messenger arrived from a nearby village called Odo Ikiti. The leader sent a challenge: "We heard about your great Amala festival and the three famous women. We want to see if our strongest dancers can match your energy food dance." The whole village gathered to hear the news. Ronki, Ayabisi, and Aduni looked at each other and laughed. "This will be fun," said Ayabisi. They prepared for the friendly competition, inviting the people of Odo Ikiti to join them the next festival. When the day came, dancers from both villages showed their best moves. The air was filled with music, laughter, and lots of stomping feet. Though the visitors were good dancers, the spirit and joy of Ijebu Ilaro's energy food dance won the hearts of everyone. In the end, the two villages celebrated together, sharing food and stories late into the night. After the friendly dance battle, many people kept asking Ronki, Ayabisi, and Aduni, "What is your secret? How do you have so much energy and joy?" Ronki smiled and said, "The secret is simple: love yourself first. When you love who you are, you carry happiness everywhere." Ayabisi added, "And never forget to enjoy your food. Eating amala and stew with friends makes it taste better." Aduni laughed, Oh, and don't forget a little pepper for spice. Life without spice is boring. The villagers nodded, understanding that the secret ingredient was not just in the food but in the love and joy shared. From that day, everyone in Ijebu Ilaro made sure to add a little extra love to their cooking and to their lives. Seeing how much energy food helped the village, Ronki, Ayabisi, and Aduni decided to start a small school to teach children about good food, self-love, and joy. Every morning, children gathered to learn how to cook simple energy foods like amala, ewedu, and stew. They also learned songs and dances that celebrated strength and happiness. One little boy asked, "Will eating this food make me big like you?" Ronki smiled warmly, "You will be strong, healthy, and happy, and that is what matters most." The Energy Food School became a favorite place, full of laughter, music, and delicious smells. Parents were grateful, seeing their children grow stronger and more confident every day. Ijebu Ilaro was not just a village of laughter, it was now a village of learning and love. Named Mr. Kola came to Ijebu Ilaro from the city. He wore tight trousers, small sunglasses, and walked like a fashion model. He looked around and said, "After all the laughter, dancing, and amala, the people of Ijebu Ilaro learned one powerful lesson: everyone should be free to live their life happily." One evening, during the biggest festival of the year, Ronki stood up and spoke to the crowd. She said, "Let this be known, fat people, slim people, tall, short, black, light, we are all special in our own way." Ayabisi added, "Stop mocking people for how they look. Did they borrow your body? Let them breathe." Aduni shouted, "We are fat, strong, happy, and full of energy, and we don't need your approval." The whole village cheered. Even the drummers played louder in support. From that day, nobody in Ijebu Ilaro laughed at anyone's body again. Instead, they laughed with each other with love, not mockery. And so, the village became known as the place where joy was bigger than shame, and amala was always hot. So my people, what have we learned today? If person fat, leave them. If person chop 3 wraps of amala, clap for them. If person day dance energy food dance, join them. Ronki, Ayabisi, and Aduni have shown us that true beauty is not in how slim or big you are, but in how you carry your joy, confidence, and laughter. So whether your belly flat or round, your legs like broomstick or drumstick, enjoy your life. Because as Ronki always says, "Nahu get bell day chop. Mind your stomach." The end. Thank you for watching. Please don't forget to subscribe, like, comment, and share this story if it made you laugh. And remember, next time you see amala and ewedu, no form, no fear. Just chop and dance. Bye.